Hi, it's Lauren from The Financial Diet, and this is Maya.
Hi.
Some of you might remember her as our editorial assistant. And today we're going to be talking about something that a lot of people can relate to, which is the first year post-grad from college.
Right, and as someone that did that fairly recently and didn't have what you would call like a real job for the first while out of college, that's what we'll be talking about.
Yeah, so my first question for Maya is, how long did you go without a real job? And when I say real job, although we don't really like that term here on TFD because all work is really valuable and all experience is valuable, but a lot of people think of that as having, like a full-time job with a salary and benefits.
So leading up to graduation, I'd say in the last 4 months of school, they really pushed the daunting, real career job, whatever you want to call it. And it was a lot to handle. I feel like we were constantly applying, and some of us, especially myself, with very little direction, and that was really hard. So I'd say I spent about the first 10 months out of school without that career job.
Okay, so my next question is, how did you actually fill those 10 months? What did you do for work?
Right, I actually liked my so-called called part-time job so much that I stopped applying to those career jobs for a while because, again, I wasn't really applying purposefully, and that was part of the problem. And I did, I think, 3 things. I waited tables, I worked at a winery where I also started managing their social media, and I volunteered at a local cancer resource center, and I worked up at the local hospital with that organization.
So did you work all these jobs like concurrently?
Yeah, I did. I actually worked 7 days a week, and I would say probably about 6 to 8 hours, depending on the day.
So what would you say your tips are for making the most of that experience?
I would say specifically using your part-time jobs as a resume builder is something that really worked for me. So when I started working my winery job, I would say in July-ish, and I had really, really wanted to work at a winery and just like take advantage of the local area. But I also really wanted something that I could turn to other jobs I was applying for and saying, look, I'm doing this cool thing right out of college. So I approached my boss saying that I wanted to a little more with social media. So I just asked if there was more I can do. I wasn't volunteering and asking them to pay me more. I was just saying while I'm standing here when there aren't customers, maybe I could do other stuff. And they let me sort of run with their social media. And it was a nice thing that they were willing to trust a 22-year-old just to do things with their brand.
So can you tell me a little bit about any of the trade-offs you feel like you experienced because you didn't have a salaried position?
Yeah, I think one of the bigger ones is that I had to be very aware of how I was managing my money because I had a different number coming in every week. So in a way, it's kind of like being freelance and having a fluctuating income. I didn't have I'm bringing in $700 every single week. I had to sort of figure out all right, I've paid rent, I've saved this much, this is how much I have left over.
So obviously everyone experiences stress and anxiety when it comes to work and work-related issues. So did you ever feel like there was a point where you were really down about your situation that you were in, and how did you handle that?
I think for me, I spent so much unnecessary time feeling like I was behind everyone else. It was my constant worry, was everyone else was moving to New York and I was still upstate, not moving to New York.
Right.
And that was really the baseline. And I think that so many people in their first post-grad year feel that way. They feel like everybody else is doing something and they're supposed to be, whether they're still in their college town, which I was, or whether they're living at home or whatever it is, you feel behind.
Right.
But then I finally started my first career job, if you'll have it. And what I realized, I started in their typical advertising entry-level position. I'd say I was working with people in entry-level roles from 22 to 30 because people switch careers. People do all sorts of things that mandate an entry-level job in their 20s, 30s, even 40s.
So how did you actually find that first job? I mean, what techniques did you use and what were you actually doing in that first job?
I wanted an entry-level ad job in either strategy or accounts, and I got one in accounts. And basically, I had been connected with someone who worked at sort of a partner agency with the place I ended up working, and they had handed my resume along, and I'd applied to the 3 agencies, and it was more beneficial for me because I had applied to countless jobs like this through portals, and my success rate was just so low. And finally, I had someone that was introducing me to an HR person.
Like, take a look at this candidate.
Exactly.
Which is helpful, obviously, yeah.
Exactly, and I get that, like, not everyone gets that lucky. I'm super fortunate. I had a great alumni network, and so I had someone pass it along. I interviewed for 2 different positions. I got the one in LA, and I took it. I moved in 5 days. It was terrible.
Oh my gosh, wow.
And then in the actual job there, I was an entry-level account person, so that's client management and things like that. And I was sometimes working with clients on my own and sometimes sort of assisting my superiors and their client management.
Right. So I understand that you actually didn't stay in that position for all that long, and you ended up transferring back into like kind of the freelance working style. Right. So what was some of the reasons, or what were some of the reasons for why you kind of left and decided to go back to the freelance working style?
Right. I think that it's very important to know that I had a great job. I worked with great people. My boss was awesome. It truly was not what I wanted, and it was really hard for me to find that out after I'd moved across the country for this job I was so sure I wanted. And so it was rough, I had to figure out A, what I did want, and then B, execute it while still working my job. So the last 2-3 months at my job, I was working full time and producing an article a day.
Oh, wow.
Because I was trying to get people to pay me frantically.
So is there kind of one piece of advice that you would give new grads who don't have jobs lined up?
Yeah, definitely. I would say for me, something that was incredibly helpful was doing something entirely different, something that almost shocked my senses. Because the problem I ran into was I graduated and I thought I wanted to go into broadcast journalism, most of my college career, and then I took a very good internship in production at one point through college, and it was an amazing internship, and it was that crushing realization of oh my God, what I've been studying for 4 years, not what I'm trying to go into.
So kind of being prepared to keep your options open and not feeling like you have to necessarily apply to the thing that you majored in.
Exactly, and feeling like you can move outside your comfort zone and not have the major police come track you down, because
you didn't use that degree. Exactly. They're gonna have to take you in your registrar's office.
If there's ever a police trying to arrest me, I hope it's you.
So thank you so much, Maya, for talking to us.
Thank you.
I think that you provided a ton of really valuable insight, and I think that our viewers will love it. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and go to thefinancialdiet.com for more. Bye.
Bye.